Okay, then, so we're going to talk about Masters of the Universe. I just got back from seeing it. It's been on the list for quite some time, this one. I've been really happy with everything that we've seen in the promotional material leading up to this. I've been following it for some time because it's been in the works for some time. At one point it was at Netflix and then it went to Sony and now it's ended up at Amazon. Amazon MGM Studios, they've been the ones to finally get it over the finish line. Not unlike what's happened with Highlander. So here we are. We've finally got a Masters of the Universe movie. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I loved it. I thought it was. I really enjoyed it. Um, I know there's been a lot of mixed opinions about it, and what I will say, I'm only a casual fan of it, of Masters of the Universe. Of course, I did see the '87 Dolph Lundgren film, but I never really watched the animated cartoon. So I'll hold my hands up and say I don't have the attachment that some people certainly do, and fair enough. The die-hard fans, if they have a particular way that they feel it should be done, that's fair enough. But I went into this as a casual fan, and just honestly, it's good fun. It really, really is. It's the sort of film that you'd want to see on the big screen. Summer blockbuster. In terms of the story, it's simple stuff that we've seen before. Obviously, we start with Prince Adam as a young boy in Eternia, and then of course, he's there with his mum and dad, the king and queen, and everything's good. But then Skeletor arrives and just takes over everything. And in a last gasp effort, Adam is sent to Earth, his mother's home, with the sword, just to keep him and the sword safe and out of Skeletor's hands. And years pass, he grows up, and the time has come to return. You know, so it's basically that whole classic storyline of what was taken will be retaken. The new hero will rise to the challenge. He'll return to his homeland. You know, re, uh, you know, rejoin with the heroes and retake what's rightfully theirs and overthrow the evil forces. So it's classic stuff, but it's done well. It really is. And the character development, there's some really legitimately solid character arcs in this. Um, Nicholas Galitzine as He-Man, Adam, very good. You can see how he's clearly worked very, very hard. He's trained hard, and the way he handles the action, fantastic. He's in great shape. Even the way he plays the role, you can see he's invested in what he's doing. He's really into it, and he brings that heartfelt, you know, aspect that you'd want. Now, this film, it does lean into the goofiness in a lot of ways. It is very goofy in a lot of places. And sometimes it does get a bit much. A lot of people have pointed that out, and it is valid criticism. It gets goofy in places, and sometimes it goes a bit too far. Of course, sometimes it's just so refreshing when a heartfelt moment or a poignant moment can just be allowed to sit and resonate, and be what it is. Of course, a lot of modern films get a bit nervous about that, and they often want to diffuse it with a joke. Now that happens here, but with that being said, there are a lot of moments throughout where we do have some genuine heartfelt moments, and some genuine wholesome, poignant moments. Where like nice moments between characters. Where characters come to certain realizations or given a new perspective on things, and just the way that they click with one another. So there's a bit of both. There is a bit of both. But yeah, the film does have a lot of heart to it. You can see that the people involved, they've come into this wanting to make something cool. I mean, like you say, this has been in the works for a long time. So I'm sure there was something in the air of, it's been passed from studio to studio. A lot of money's been spent on this over the years. Let's finally make something that's worthwhile. Um, and I gotta, honestly, I gotta say, Amazon MGM, genuinely good job. I'm really pleased with this. And they're coming in hot. Amazon's resurrected MGM Studios. Obviously, we had the wonderful project Hail Mary, and then following up with this, and then what they've got coming down the pipeline. Notably, the two notable things for me, Voltron's going to be cool, but Highlander is the jewel in the crown, as far as I'm concerned. That's because again, that's been in the works for just as long as Masters of the Universe has been. And again, similar situations, gone from one studio to another. Various people have been attached and they've come and gone over the years. So it's very, very similar journeys that they've both been on. And the fact that they've both ended up at Amazon MGM, and the fact that we've got that tangibility now, like Masters of the Universe is finally here. It's real. We've got it. And then, the it's finally feeling real for Highlander. Obviously, we're coming to the end, towards the end of shooting for that movie now. I mean, from what I understand, that's followed a similar production schedule as well, i.e., Masters of the Universe was filmed at the beginning of last year, like the first half of last year. Same thing here with Highlander, started filming back in January. With any luck, they might follow the same pattern. Like this time next year, Highlander might be set to come out. Fingers crossed, here's hoping. For me, in my own mind, this is kind of like the formation of an unofficial trilogy. Masters of the Universe, then Voltron, then Highlander. There are a lot of references to Highlander in this movie. They actually outright refer to Adam as the Highlander at one point, and then of course the fact that we've got Brian May involved with the music. The music for this is great, by the way. Just the whole, because we do at the start of this we get a whole opening montage with a monologue from Adam, and even just like the music throughout that part of it, you can feel the Brian May Queen influence right from the get go. And then later on, as we're gearing up for the final battle, the full on use Princes of the Universe. So it just made, as a Highlander fan, that was nice for me, and I really hope that they bring Brian May in for Highlander. I mean, the fact that they've formed the association, the relationships there now. So if everything goes well, it would be great if Brian May could work on the music for Highlander like he's done for Masters of the Universe here. But yeah, honestly, if we're talking about specific characters, Nicholas Galitzine does a fine job. He really does. Skeletor is incredible, and as someone, please don't underestimate this, because I am not a Jared Leto fan. I don't care for the guy, but wow, what he's able to do with this! I mean, you wouldn't even know it's him, honestly. And obviously, a lot of people have said that, but you wouldn't even know. It isn't until obviously you're sitting through the credits and you see his name at the end. It's like, oh no way, was he Skeletor? But he's great. You've got to give credit where credit's due, and he does a great job. So the combination of his performance, and then just the character design as well, the way they've been able to create the character. I mean, you see from the trailers, the look, the design of Skeletor is incredible, and even like the subtle like emotions that happen, you know, that are apparent, noticeable in from the skull as you watch him on screen. They're subtle, but they're there, and they're very effective. And also, one of the things that's really, really effective in this is the use of the eyes as well. You know, the intensity of the glow of the red. Very, very well done. So, genuinely, Skeletor is a real highlight. Man at Arms, Idris Elba, or Sir Idris. Yeah, I mean, I think if I was to say of characters in Masters of the Universe, I think Man at Arms is my favourite character. I like Duncan. And I think Idris Elba does a fine job. I like it. I like what they do with him in this. I like the character arc that he goes on. And, you know, the when he reconnects with Adam later on, I really like. They have a really good chemistry together. And then there's a battle bot that obviously is part of the team as well, and just the dynamic that Duncan and the battle bot have is it's really, really nice stuff. But yeah, again, the production design, some really great creative visuals in this. The way they've created the Eternia and Grayskull, it's very, very well done. Of course, as we say, the look and design of Skeletor, the design of the costumes. Obviously that was one of the things right from the get go when we saw the look of the Power Sword. I thought that looks fantastic. That's incidentally something that you know, from what we've seen of the Highlander behind the scenes photos that have surfaced, they've kept, you know, the designs, the classic designs of the swordsman. That Ramirez katana's looking incredible. So the detail as far as the weaponry goes, it's very, 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 very great. It's great to see. Honestly, I'm really happy with this. But even the battle sequences, the fight scenes, brilliant, brilliant. The choreography, fantastic. You can see the time that's been put into it. Nicholas Glitzine, you know, is as a swordsman, he does a fine job. He really does. You can see, you know, he looks believable. You know, competent swordsman. Again, it's been one of the things. Like, let's talk about Disney Star Wars for a second as an example or contrast. The saber choreography in the Disney Star Wars, shall we call it content, because that's what it is. It's woeful, with maybe a couple of possible exceptions along the way. But the only piece of Disney Star Wars that had any excuse was Force Awakens. You know, because it was part of the story. Like, obviously, you have that scene where Finn fights the riot trooper with a saber, and obviously he doesn't know what he's doing. So it makes sense. And even, like, the fight at the end in the forest, you know, obviously Finn and Rey, they're having a go with the saber, but they don't know what they're doing. And obviously, Kylo Ren, obviously, he's the best. You know, obviously, he is the better swordsman. He's the one who's actually had some swordsman. You know, he's a trained swordsman to a certain extent. But obviously, he's dying in that fight. You know, he's bleeding out. So, you know, it's supposed to be messy in The Force Awakens. But as it goes on, and it just gets worse. And then obviously just all of Disney Plus stuff, just woeful saber choreography. You know, the real fans of that reverse grip, aren't they? Good lord. And then also just holding in them, like as Shad Brooks talks about, when they're holding these stupid static binds. No. No. But yeah, that I just wanted to just use that as a contrast. But here, the choreography is great. It's much more fluid. It's yeah, there's a great energy to it, and it's shot really creatively as well. You've got a lot of like free flowing cameras, because as we always say, you need people in front of the camera who can perform the choreography, and you need people behind the camera who can capture it. Having one without the other is no good. And then you need the right people working on it in post production who know how to edit it and piece it together, so that we're not chopping this fight scene up into an unrecognisable mess, and we're not inducing any seizures with some frantic quick cut editing. And I'm happy to report that the action sequences in this, yeah, they pass with flying colours. And again, you get a whole range of stuff. You get sword fights, fist fights, gun fights, obviously aerial combat, all of that good stuff. So there is some really really great stuff here. Now, obviously, the runtime is nigh on 2.5 hours. Genuinely, I thought it had a good pace to it, and I can reassure you, for people who are nervous, only a small chunk of the movie does take place on Earth. It does. We spend the main body of the film in Eternia. Thank goodness. Of course, yes, you may have heard, Dolph Lundgren does have a cameo in there. It's really nicely done, respectfully done. Nice moment between Dolph and Nicholas Galitzine. People have said it is like a passing of the torch. It is. It's very nice. It's very nice and respectful. It'd be, again, we don't know. Again, I keep bringing this back to Highlander because it's me. I don't know if they might do something along those lines in the Highlander remake. Whether they get, I mean, I think we'd all understand Sean Connery won't be able to make an appearance, but maybe Christoph, or if they could get Clancy Brown. I mean, I don't know how Christoph's doing health wise. I mean, I think he had a bit of a rough patch. I think he had an accident, but I think he's recovering quite well. He's made some appearances recently, so I assume he's doing better. Clancy Brown, on the other hand, because he is such a force of nature, if I was to guess, I think there's more likelihood of Clancy Brown making an appearance than Lambert. Look, I know there's a lot of people out there who love the series. I don't care about Adrian Paul. I'm sorry. I don't care about Duncan MacLeod. I'm sorry. We'll have to agree to disagree on that one. I mean, hey, it's all love. So, hey, if you could get the three of them all in there in some capacity, Christoph, Clancy Brown, and hey, Adrian Paul, come on down, man. You invested a large chunk of your acting career into that franchise, for better or worse. The sauce still burned in there. And hey, I have no love for Endgame, man. But that's for another time. But honestly, I'll wrap this up. I was really pleased with this. It's fun. That 2.5 hours, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It feels as though they make use of it. Good character development, great chemistry between our cast. Like I say, love Man at Arms. Skeletor was a real surprise. Great choreography, great visuals. 3 mid-credit sequences. We get one right after the titles, and then we get another one after like the principal cast credit, and then we get one right at the end. So 3 in total. But yeah, I definitely recommend this. A good summer movie. It's all it feels like all in good faith. There's nothing malicious about it. Just they've done themselves an injustice in terms of the way in terms of some of the stuff they've said in marketing. I wish they'd stop talking because they're hurting their own they're hurting themselves more than anything else. But honestly, there's none of that nonsense here, I can assure you. But please go enjoy it. It's great to see you on the big screen. If you've seen it already, please let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope you found this enjoyable, and if you were in the middle, undecided whether you should go or not, I hope you found this helpful. Thank you, everybody. Wish you all the best, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye, everybody.